Okay, we'll get started. What do I do with that? Tobacco?
Oh my goodness. Put it back. Can't take me anywhere. Yeah. As soon as I put this in there and we'll come around and we'll do an introduction. Joey said she's going to sing a song.
When I get started here, so be ready for that.
After she knows all my songs, so she'll be able to do it. Hey, Joey. Ain't gonna.
I don't think so.
Ain't gonna. Yep.
Bonjour, je vais m'en donc. A chicha pinging dus na kas wabshin do dem. J'aime le dog in kineo betam young mawin. Na hab strong no good no wish we go to co-op me. Chewy young. I will keep you tying kinegi wine but be what gave we know. You know how the air in mother be what the Epson gave it. Gin jam the dog the wish me no go to co-op me. Chinjibne am to train me. Yiddish man the ena ramon and on man nagan. Me jog the man is good in this stick when we not doing among gaining with till bit up the gardex again you be me doing. Keen jam the don't know which me going to co-op me and to read you. We shall make my you time, my you task on gaining. When again we not going to win the more my game like but which it. Yeah, yes, please.
Some or digital.
You can dig it up. That is here to be fine. What's that? Extra. Send the invoice tomorrow.
That's not it.
No. You don't. Yeah. Some of it is in the fire for the young lady down here. Thank you. Bewitch. Put it in gently.
No, I just.
We gotta do
We
it
gotta
again.
get this stuff done, man.
Sorry. Sorry for my helper here, throwing it in like that. Abożony magneto, hachicha, też nie kazła, przyszygę nie dode. I mi nowy weźmy na żem, no to i kiedy ja nie bogi. I no gata moją ma jest no go. Ane gita moją geni uam na apś tong samanda wegła, eśni kaczkadik, wene geni wicze na gdwe na mam. Ja giu taing ge ma ma mat bichik weźmy ge się kwa badwa. No ge gin skap mit kwebe me gada go in ge mi es weźmy go i chwido ko yang no go. Chinjib na dwas ge wi no ma mat bichik ge wi ma se wi go am. Agegin mishomas ashku baras mosein gegi. Ya ashku minam gishka tem gaksa with mosein. Irish with me going gegi chikoab me am chwiju yan jibnea. Irish manda na gum when one gum toguam giving my matbewat when again watching up the way the boats. Kami gas what's mad zevenation kashkatik. Minayam ikan way and it's bookie or gave in one. When it should must say what when. Chwido power the gay which fancy. Kin jam na do no go wish me go no chwido ko ya chebe jibne ya tishwene me ya Jamanero, giganona, musean, giganona, jamanero, oh. Mishomas, giganona, musean, giganona, mishomas, That's my political voice. I'm going to get you all to stand up just for a moment. And then I want you to turn around and face the wall. Don't worry, my pickpocket days are over. I'm not fast enough. I just want you just to relax. Remember who you are.
Okay, just sit down again. Now, the people that are watching, that was also for you as well. Just to kind of take the cobwebs off the back from the weekend and kind of relax you a little bit more as to what it is that we are going to be talking about a little bit. Anyway, I'm not going to do all the talking. I'm going to talk for 5 minutes. I'm going to let each one of you take over the next 2 hours. That's the way I work. No, I'm just kidding. My name is Achichok, meaning crane. I am of the Wabashishi clan, Martin. I'm Ojibwe. And I do what I do when I do what I do. And this is part of what I do, what I just did for your back. And, you know, because when you sing the song and all of a sudden, remember what I said at the beginning, that sometimes spirit comes and talks to you, tell you need to do this. So that's the reason why I came around and has you stand up and face the outside, because you're looking out that way. And what sometimes normally that when we do our walk in the daytime, we can't see what's on our back. We can't see who's behind us. You know, and that all those things latch onto you. And what it is that, how that works is that when the drum comes in, because it's like the heartbeat of our mother, and then that vibration on your back kind of loosens up your back and loosens up your mind. And it takes some of those things away. It doesn't take it all away. The rest of that part I can help you with, but the rest is all up to you when you get rid of some of that stuff. And so when we talk about the voice is something special in who we are. Right? We each have a voice, different sounds of voices, different things that comes out of this. You know, when I was working with the drug and alcohol program way back in the day, it feels like it's about 200 years ago. And when I first started this program, I never really was given a training in how to deal with people. And I never really did this at that time either. It's just starting my journey on that path, actually. And what happened then again, when I first had my first client, you know, I didn't really understand what was going on because I had to find out, you know, talking to me. And I was kind of nervous because I'm one of those shy guys. You may not think I am, but I am shy. I hide behind Joey when we walk through the university, and then she beats me up in hallways.
Why are you all laughing?
It's true. But again, like I said, when I'm talking with I didn't know my voice. That's the part where I looked at it. But when I finally started thinking about different things, and finally we got training, I went to school. I went to school in Brantford Mohawk College to learn about the drug and alcohol program, how we use our voices to help people. And one of the teachers there she's Mohawk, and she really told us exactly what we need to do. We can use our voices, but we also have to use that part of that voice that listens. That's the big key right there, is listening. And when I started into the program, I get called and you know, different types, and I go out and people are talking about what's going on, and I just sit there and I listen to them. And then when I know when they're done, that's when I make the suggestions on what we need to do. You know, you know, even myself when I'm growing up, I never really had a chance to speak. I grew up in the Indian day school world, and when I tried to speak, we were told that not to say anything because of the possibilities of being taken away if our parents decided to argue with the teachers or something because of the way we were treated. But after a while, I think some of us, as we got older, I think it's probably around the grade 6 or 7, grade 6, I think it was, we began to voice our thoughts against what was happening to us because we always took off.
I live on an island that, we knew the island like the back of our hands. I don't think nobody would ever found us there. But again, like I said, the voice and singing, how many here can sing? How many here can chatter like Joey does? How many here can, just talk to somebody without even knowing who they are? I learned to do that because for me, I guess voice is pretty much everything, really, because it's part of who we are, right? Each, like I said, everybody. But you got to remember too, they got to say the right things sometimes. In my travel, I've heard many things. I've heard many things said to me. I've heard many things. People call me down. There's a lot of stuff. But when I started learning about my culture and how to do things, how to do the smudge, all those things kind of slipped away. All of a sudden, a new voice came forward, and that's the singing part. I never sang before in my life. Maybe by myself, and I'm walking through the bush on Christian Island and singing away, but I don't know what I was singing. Sometimes, I just chant out something. And that's one of the things I understood is that when I grew up, got older, like I started my journey in 1988. Let me say that. My first sweat lodge was 1988. We built it. And of course, we didn't know anything about this. And because of the way we grew up in a Christian society on Christian Island. And so we weren't able to really say anything. And only when you're spoken to, that's what we were, speak when you're spoken to. But our grandparents, when I lived with my grandparents, that's where I was very fortunate to learn about my language. And, sometimes I hear people talking, and then when us guys get together, what's left of us anyway, there's about two of us left, I think. And when I talk to the ones that are about my age, 35, I'm 35 forever. I want to be. And that's the part of that voice too, right? You can make jokes at yourself and have fun with that. And that's the beauty of it, right? Once you get to know the other person, you begin to do the same thing. See, I didn't even really know any of you when I first walked in here, but we still had fun, right? That was that voice coming out. That was me. That was the way I was raised. Like I wasn't raised at the top like this. I wasn't raised to do drumming. I wasn't raised in that field. I wasn't raised the way everybody. Some of the people were up. Like up here in the north, I really admire the people up on this side, the other side, on this side of Parry Sound, because the culture is still open, it's still beautiful. Everything is there. Down our way, we're getting people coming in, and a lot of our young people are not knowing the language, and yet we try to talk to them in that as best we can. But again, there's something else that's taken over. And sometimes, we use our voice there. So when I sing, people tell me, actually, this is a thing too that people ask me to do, is to go and sing for them. Sometimes I do it on that, we call that, all those little gadgets, cell phones. And I do what they call that video chat. Something like, no, I don't do Zoom. I don't know how to get FaceTime. That's the one. Yeah. See, I'm not a modern technological guy. I'm still in the smoke signal stage. But the wind's got to be blowing the right way in order for that person to get the message. One day I sent a message to Joey to smoke signal messaging. Somebody else got it. And again, so when we think about that, when they think about a lot of the stuff, people ask me to do the singing for the far away stuff, and I use that voice. I use my thoughts. I use prayer and smudge, and then I let them know that I'm doing this at this time frame, so be ready for it. So I guess that's all I have.
All right.
Thank you. No, just kidding. So what I'd like to do is I want you to help me sing a song. Whether you sing or not, whether you think you can't sing, because the way I see things, people can sing. no matter how, I have a young lady that I used to drum with. We drummed together for probably 16 years maybe. And then when she started with me, I could hear her, but not loud enough. Not loud enough. So I told her to sit on this side. And I'm listening to her as I'm drumming. She was singing, but she wasn't singing loud enough because she needed people needed to hear her. So I talked to her for a while. I said, you need to sing from here. Deep down in here, bring it out that way, a little bit louder. She says, I can't. I said, yes, you can. Don't be shy, hug shy. I said. So we did. Next thing you know, we were singing that for that many years together. And there was a group that we sang with. We had a lot of fun doing it. And but sometimes people get scared when I say, okay, I got to leave. You talk to them. All they do is sing. They don't talk. But the singing part is where we, oh, did you see that?
Mhm.
Somebody grabbed that. I got some knives. You can clean that today. We'll have that for lunch.
So chipmunk.
Not enough, but we'll make it. So when we sing, we use our voice, but we also use our heart and mind. We also use that spirit that's been given it, because in this shell dwells that spirit. In this shell, all this thing is a shell. That's all it is. It's a shell. What's inside is probably the most important. That has been given from our Creator. He's put his thoughts together, brought that spirit up, and sent it to the earth, put into this shell, so we're able to walk. So the song I want to sing for you, we're going to sing together is, what do you think would be the best one? Pungai, pungai, chiki, chiki, jangai.
That's the best one.
Okay, that side we'll do Asia minor and over here B flat. Good. See, this is it, right? This is about having fun, about culture. This is your voice. This is that part where we learn about that voice. What can my voice do? Can my voice speak out loud? Yes, it can. Can my voice change? Oh yeah. Or oh yeah. So you can make those changes on your own, right? That's like talking to people. That's like talking to people. Sometimes for me, when I hear somebody talking to me and I feel that they're not very, they're kind of in an angry mode, I can sense that. So what I do then is I switch from what I'm thinking about that person that's talking to me, and I start using a different kind of, like a calm voice, and I say, well, how was everything? Like I started off, and finally I get them going, and finally I get them laughing. And that's that part that's all hidden behind this anger part, right? That laughter is hiding behind the anger. The anger is here, but the laughter is back here. Beauty of our people, the anger is here, but the beauty of our people is back here. Doesn't matter what nation you're from. It all happens that way. The anger is always leading the way sometimes. If we could use that voice and bring that anger around to this side, you can see a whole clear light of everything that's there. There's nothing that can stop you once that anger is moved out of the way. You can walk for miles. You can see things. I was told once that the animals know when you're angry. The animals know when you're angry. When you talk to the animals, that voice comes up there. Ah, bonjour, nitaos. Bonjour, my relatives. That's what that means. Bonjour, nitaos. Anyway, Monague, my relatives. Because we're all related, really. We are all related. Everyone in this room, we're all related. Maybe 132nd cousin and 200 times removed, but we're related. Why? That guy up there, right? Our Creator. He's the one that sent the spirit here. He's the one that created the shell. He's the one that put all four parts of our mother together in order for us to walk on the earth. So you understand that what we're doing. And the thing is too is that when we think about the four parts of our mother, It was Creator that sounded his voice across that dark sky. Before there was anything out there in the universe, when he sounded his voice and his thoughts, when everything was put together, he gave us voice. He gave us the voice how to help each other because, bakadena means, are you hungry? Are you thirsty? And that's our voice. When you're working with people, that's the other part of it. How to use your voice when you first meet somebody. That kind voice. I remember meeting a gentleman once a while back. They say that he was not too happy with things. And we got to meet him. He sat with us once. We were all sitting in a circle. He sat down. You could tell he was angry, and he kind of started swearing. While we were sitting there, finally one of the ladies asked him not to swear because we don't swear. She said, "Well, we do, but not like that, right? Not like that." And he says, "Why?" And I forget what he said. Something about, "I can't help but swear." So two of the ladies took him aside, and they talked to him. That gentle voice, right? Because I believe a lot of women have gentle voices, except I looked at you and said, and so, again, so when he came back, it was a different story. Like in the afternoon, we sat again because we were just actually talking about what we were getting ready to do. And he came back and he apologized. So that kind voice is what brought this man around. And we got to know him really well after. He began to sing with us. He began to do things with us. So voice is very important. How you project that voice, that's another part of it. You project it in a good way, kind way, a laughing way, and having fun. But you have to introduce yourself. You have to introduce yourself to that. Like for me, like I said, I never really stayed, I kind of stayed in the background before I started my journey. Like if there was a seats back here, I'd be sitting behind these ladies. I wouldn't sit out in front. We're here. And I had to learn that. That's one of the toughest things I had to go through, is to move forward, because the teachers that I followed were always telling me these things. You need to speak. You need to speak on your own terms and on your own, the way you want to know. People want to know you that way, through your voice. So, you're going to meet a lot of people in your lives. I have. Every one of them is going to be different. Every one of them is going to be different. They're not going to be all the same. Maybe at the odd time you'll find somebody the same, but you never find a guy like me talking when you guys are dealing with somebody. This is where your voice goes back and says, I need some help with this. And that's that part. So the song I'm going to teach you, I want you to don't be afraid. Don't be afraid to voice it. Sing it out. It's easy. It's an easy word. It's an easy. I'm gonna Anishinaabe Quid. You know what that means? Oh yeah, you all know what that is. But it's not only Anishinaabe Quid. It talks about the woman, the spirit woman coming this way. Actually, she's already started her journey through this daytime sky. Remember when I did that prayer? I talked to our grandfather. I said, you're already starting your daily walk in this daytime. So he's already started to come. He's already on. Well, he's getting closer to noonday here when you come in. But there's also a spirit of the woman that comes behind our grandfather when the sun comes over that horizon. Because when you look up, if you get up early enough, how many of you got up as soon as the sun hit the horizon? Did you see it rise? Did you see the flash? There's a flash as it's just before the sun pops its head over the horizon. There's a flash that comes up, and it's very fast, it's very quick, but you can actually see it happen. And they say that's the doorway opening for the new day. The doorway is open for the new day. And then behind, once the grandfather pops his head up over the horizon, it is said that that song I sing, that spirit woman comes up behind him because his grandfather leading the way. His grandfather leading the way, coming this way. And that spirit woman comes behind him. And when with that spirit woman comes all these spirit animals, right? They're all protected her as she walks. Every day of our lives, she walks across this daytime sky from the east to the west. The sun goes down. Now, when you look to the west and you see the sun go down, just as the sun starts to go down and grandfather's sun's head just before it, while it goes under, you'll see this flash. But this time it's coming from the other way, going this way. It's going down. That means that day is gone. So whatever you said the day before, you may write those things down sometimes. Sometimes you may have to go back to them and look at them. But sometimes you may have said the wrong things. That's being left there. For me, like when I talk to I have trouble speaking to some. And when we talk, sometimes we listen to what our elders and our grandmothers are saying. They're very kind when they talk to you. Very kind. I know a few people that I talk to, and there's not any harsh words between us. Sometimes you joke around and yeah, we have fun with them, right? Anyway, I'm going to, oh, she's gone.
Must be gone for lunch.
Hope she brings some bologna, eggs, and gravy. So remember, don't be afraid. Don't be afraid. If you don't know the words, that's fine. I will teach you. That's the key part of it, right? That's what I did. When I give a song, I make sure you understand what the words are actually saying. So that way, you're not being left out. Even if you just move your lips, even if you just tap, even if you want to dance, maybe we'll dance. No, I'm just kidding. See, everybody starts sweating. So the song is ISWK, Bidas Mose, Bim Widow, Bimad Zewit. ISWK, Bidas Mose, Bim Widow, Bimad Zewit, which means the spirit of that woman is coming this way and she's bringing life with her. That's what that means. All righty, you all set? Want me to say it again?
Yes.
One more time? That's Milli Vanilli. Nishnabekwe, let's say it together. Nishnabekwe, Bidas Mose, Bem Widow, she's carrying life with her. Remember, women carry life, right? Creator gave that gift to the women. And us as men, we're supposed to look after that part of that life, the woman who's carrying that life, side by side. Now, I learned that when I started my journey on this path, I learned about that because I asked questions around it. And that's the other part of it. You got to ask questions. Again, that voice comes in more important when you ask questions. You just can't, sometimes you sit back there. Oh, I should ask them a question. Nah, I don't want to ask that question. No, better not. And then a couple of days later down the road, I should have asked that question. It always happens, doesn't it? It always happens. And then when you go back into, maybe let's say go back into class. Oh, now you're really feeling, oh man, what do I have to do now? I should ask that question. But you know what? Sometimes those answers come later on, even though you don't ask the question. Ever happened to you? Forget to ask the question. Maybe a couple of days down the road, an answer comes for your question that you're going to ask, but in a different form. Right? Okay, let's swing. Now watch the bouncing stick. I hate, you know what? I forgot to do this. I'm sorry. I gave you my name as H. Monague, right? I'm from Christian Island. I'm Ojibwe. Like I said, I'm 35 years old. And then, like I said, I've been walking this path for a bit. I just want to know who I'm talking to. We'll start with you.
My name is Paige. Paige. Paige.
Oh, hey. Okay.
I'm from Hong Kong.
Yeah.
I am 34. I don't think that was necessary. I'm a mother. I have 2 children. I got a cat. I'm living in Sudbury right now. But the majority of my family, well, like all my family is from Wiki. Yeah. And that's it. Thank you.
Good.
So I'm Felicity Biggs and Indigenous cause. My name is Felicity Biggs. I'm from Elliott Lake, which is about 2 hours away from here. It's not too far. It's a nice little community. I'm here at Orange for my 4th year now, and in a long justice program. So that's it. Thank you.
My name is Gina, and I'm 31. And I got 2 kids. I am from Zimbabwe, but I moved to Sudbury about 12 years ago, and I live in Chelmsford.
Hello, my name is Gabe. Some people know me as Gabby. I use she, they pronouns. I'm from Moncton, New Brunswick, and I now live in Sudbury.
My name is Natasha. I'm in the Indigenous Social Work Program, and I'm from Wetwood, like an hour.
Webwood?
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
close to Massey.
Yeah, I know where it is. Yeah, yeah.
Hello, familiar and new faces, new friends that I met this morning. My name is Megan, and I'm a 4th year Indigenous social work student. I'm from the Talking First Nation, and I'm very grateful to be here today with everyone.
Hey everyone, my name is Virginia. I'm a 4th year Indigenous social work student, and I'm from Wincombe, and I'm happy to be back in person and see everyone. Honey, my name is Alicia. I grew up in Little Current. I'm a member of Wincombe, that's the territory. Also a 4th year student in Indigenous social work. 21. Everyone's in their age.
Honey, my name is Brett. I'm from Wikwemicon Reserve and Cedar Reserve and Whitefish River First Nations. That's where my membership is from. I'm also 4th year Indigenous social work student, but born and raised here in Sudbury. Yeah, and excited to be here face to face for sure.
And how old are you?
I'm 25.
I'm Simon Leslie. I'm originally from Hamilton, Ontario. I did my education degree out in New Brunswick and ended up teaching up in Mistissini First Nation, East Main First Nation, and then over to Natwishish in Labrador. Came back home, figured it was time for change, so I'm doing the Masters of Indigenous Relations right now. So here for the next couple of years and see where that takes me.
What about the on-screen people? Hello?
Hello.
Yeah, we have Cheryl. Cheryl, did you want to introduce yourself? You just have to unmute yourself.
I guess not.
Bonjour.
Hello.
Bonjour, Neil.
Honey,
Long time no see.
you up?
Anyway, okay, Cheryl Partridge from Wasauksing First Nation. Not going to say my age. I'm retired.
That's why I say I'm 35.
It's good to see everybody, and it's good to see Joey, and I see Arlene here, and I don't know who else, but anyway, I was a little late, and sorry about that, but it's good to be here, and it's good to listen to you and Neil talk about things that, you know, just to talk to us. Miigwech.
Next, we have Arlene.
Hi there, everybody. It's Arlene. Thank you, Joey, for inviting me. And I'm just enjoying hearing the teachings this morning. So yeah, so my name is Arlene Johnson, and I'm out here in Riviere Bev, just a little bit north of Hager. And I'm a professor. Some of you might know me. I teach several of the classes, and some of you might be in my class this year. But it's really nice to be here, and thank you again very much for inviting me. And I'm 39 and holding.
Awesome. Miigwech. Next, we have Nina. She might not be there right now, but Cheyenne.
Hi, guys. I'm sorry I couldn't be there this morning. I had an appointment that I kind of couldn't miss. But anyways, for the people who don't know me, my name is Cheyenne Oshler. I'm in my final year of Indigenous social work. And I'm still grateful that I'm able to participate online, even though I can't be there today in person. But looking forward to seeing you all in your beautiful faces next Monday morning. Miigwech.
Cool, thank you. That's what you got to do once in a while. Eh? Oh,
And Nina, are you back? Are you back on near your phone?
Hi. Can you hear me?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I'm Christina. My nickname's Nina. And I am actually doing the online Indigenous social work program. So I am currently located in Hamilton. And I'm also 35 and a stay-at-home mom of 2 girls. And I'm really excited to see everything today and learn some new things. So thank you for inviting me.
Hey, Rich.
I'll go next. I guess I'm the last one. So my name is Joey-Lynn. Everyone calls me Joey. I teach in the School of Indigenous Relations. This is my 5th year teaching full-time. Doesn't feel like it, but I love it here. I have 3 children. My oldest is out of the house. She's 26, married. She lives in Quebec. And my 2 youngest, 17 and 15. And my 17-year-old just got his license last week. So he took the car out for the first time this weekend, and it was weird, but that's okay. He's a super responsible boy. So anyway, and then my 15-year-old is getting ready for his second 2-day fast. So he's not looking forward to it type of thing. So yeah, so I'm Algonquin from Wolf Lake First Nation. And I'm 35 too.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now.
No, what were we doing? Oh. The song of the Anishinaabe Kwe, again, like I said, it's again, it's about women, right? It's about the woman who carries life. And a lot of in my travels, I've met a lot of women. And I don't mean it in a negative way. And I have fun. We have fun. We go to lunch. They buy me lunch. They meet me up in the hallways of a university. Things like that, But again, like I said, it's about how we meet people, is using that good, kind voice. Sometimes you may have to be a little bit stern too. That's the other part of that too. And sometimes I get like that, but not too often. Not too often, because I want people to understand who I am. And sometimes I will be forceful. I will be, and that voice changes. And some people say, I don't like that. I don't like the way you talk. And they'll come out, some of them will actually come out and say that. Well, then why don't you listen? I said, that's the part of getting together, the voice and listening. When the voice sounds, it's sometimes, some people, like I said, voice changes. Oh, whatever, we'll call for soul. So the song is a Anishinaabe Kwe. So I'm giving you the words. I'll go through it first by myself, so you pick up the tune or the melody of the song. And it's one of my #1 hits that I've received. Oh gosh, when did I get that? When did I do to start with that CD thing? 1994. We put a CD together down in Barrie by a group called Monague. It's not bread. It's not the bread we eat, but it's a Barrie Advisory and BA. Barrie Advisory something.
Are you kidding?
No, really.
Okay.
I'm not kidding. The Barrie Advisory Circle is what it's supposed to be, but I can't remember. Native Circle or something. Barrie Area Native Circle, something like that, and that's what that is. So that's for that. See, when we did the songs, that's where. So this Anishinaabe Kwe song came, and maybe I'll give you a little history. You want to hear the history on that song? Just a bit. Anyway, this is how it happened. There we go. See how quick that was? The song actually, Anishinaabe Kwe song, when our drum group was doing really well. There was 8 of us in the drum group, and one of the ladies in there, she was kind of like our matriarch in the group. She kind of toned us down when we got carried away sometimes, like having fun with. She'd always say, "Hey, we're supposed to be singing. We're supposed to be teaching the people." She'd be her voice was very calm. And then one day we were told that she ended up in a hospital. And she, they finally found out what was wrong with her. By that time, it was kind of late. She was already in stage 4 cancer, and there was not much they could do, and it was stomach cancer. And so they brought her home. She didn't want to go into hospital. She wanted to do it at home. She wanted to pass away at home, and that's what they did. They brought her home. She was very weak by then. So we were practicing. We were getting ready to go there to do drumming for her. And I was busy drumming, doing a couple other songs that I've learned along the way through that lodge, just to practice. All of a sudden, this song started coming forward. It's kind of like, looks like something coming like this. It crosses like this and comes in like this, comes through and it goes like that. Right? And all of a sudden, these words start coming. And I thought, oh, I better stop singing this song. I better jump into this song. And I started to sing that song. And it's just Anishinaabe Kwe Vidas Mose Bim Widon Bimazu. That's that song. So I sang that probably about 10 minutes, maybe 10, 15 minutes till I knew I had it in here. And finally I got it, put my drum in my bag and jumped in my Resmobile and drove across town. And I got there and I leaned over to her. And as I got in the door, I leaned over to her and I said, "This song just came tonight. I want to sing it for you." And we sang it. I got up and I said, "Okay, guys, let's get ready. Let's do this song." I think I was probably into maybe this, not even halfway through the first part of it, when everybody knew the song already. They jumped in right away. And as we sang that song, you could feel the energy in her, because you're talking about, because she's almost getting ready to leave. So we were done that night, and I went and I gave her a hug. I went home. I think probably about 3 or 4 days later, she passed. And I was asked to sing that same song at the Catholic Church. This was the first time this drum was, not this, but another drum I have that I retired. And I was kind of nervous talking when the priest finally came over and he says, "You're not going to do that smudging, are you?" I said, "Oh, no, I would do that." I said, I said, I have respect for your building. I said, I'm just going to do drumming. So I did. So I sang that song. After the funeral was over, it was one of the hardest things to do is to get back the drum group back together. Now one of them was gone. There was only 7 of us left. We tried 3 times. We tried. There's no way we could put it together because she was missing. She wasn't there. And once we finally, that was it. Everybody just kind of went off in their own direction, and that was it for our drum group. Maybe about a year later, I started up another one. And that song, I always remember that song because of her. I think that's the reason why it came. It was because of her. And she was like the lead, not really the lead, but she was kind of the one who set the tone and pace for us, making sure the people in the back were listening. And that she used that she has a kind voice. She had a kind voice, but she also had a mean voice. Sometimes mothers have that voice. I know some of your mothers have. Look at Joey. So the song is Anishinaabe Kwe Bidas Mose Bim Widon Bimat Ziwi. Anishinaabe Kwe Bidas Mose Bim Widon Bimat Ziwi. Well, you got to throw that. So I'm going to sing it through first. Don't be shy. Remember, it's about voices. I hear voices in the bush. Woo. All right, here we go. And I'm not going to mark you on this. Don't you mark them on that.
Okay.
All right. Here we go. Okay, you can help me now. Already, don't be shy. Remember, if you don't remember the words, that's fine. Hum it if you want, and then just enjoy the song. All right, here we go now. Wow, that was quick. See, that's the way I do it. Teach the song is that way. What we did, I started off, and then once you get all the words together, and I'm hearing voices, I'll stop singing, but the drum continues. So then we had a lot of fun with that too, right? But you know the thing, that's the way I learn. And that's the way I teach, I should say. And you don't have to learn it if you don't want to. But only if you want to sing it. That's the part of that voice that comes out, right? Because that voice again kind of, I hate to say it this way, but it kind of dictates us how we're going to live, right? Basically how that is, right? So don't worry if you can't sing it, because we're going to be here all day singing this song. You're not going home. But you guys are lucky though. I got to leave around 11:30 because I have another engagement tonight. And I got to catch a boat. That's the only problem with me when I go home. I live on an island. My life is dictated by boat schedules. So I have to be home at a certain time. But if I'm closer to home, I don't have to worry about it, but I'm far away. Like I stayed last night at over here. And so that's how my life is. But again, we're going to try and learn this song as best we can. If you don't learn it, that's fine. That's okay. There's no worries about that. At some point in your life, you'll learn it again, right? You'll hear it. Joey will sing it to you. She knows it. I've sang to her many times. Already, I want to try this again now. Don't worry. Just listen. If you want to join in, you can join in. If you don't want to, that's fine. If you want to move your lips behind the mask, that's fine too. Alrighty, here we go. Try it again. I won't stop this time. All right, here we go. Okay, help me with the chant then. Away, way, away, away, way, away. Away, way, away, away, way, away. Away, way, away, way, away, oh, yeah. You did all right. I heard some I heard some waya wayas.
I think the tricky part was the other parts, because I don't know how it's spelled. I have to see it.
The 2B.
Yeah.
What in it?
Yeah.
Oh.
And then the other one.
Oh, Anishnabekwe bidas mose bemwedon bemadezewen. That one?
Yeah, the last two pieces.
Well, that-
Those are difficult for me.
Oh, those are easy for me.
I know, because you're saying it a gazillion times.
Imagine when that song came through at that time, how I had to sing it that many times through in order to understand it myself. During that 10 minutes, I actually close my eyes when I sing. It's not that I don't want to look at you, but I want to see the song. I want to be able to see it coming. I want to be able to understand what it means. That night when I sang that song, the first time ever, I saw actually a woman. And then that's what made it so meaningful. And when I finally got it, and I actually hummed it all the way in my Resmobile as I drove across the Christian Island town, and just to make sure I had it. And again, like I said, it's all about your voice. And, you notice the drum when it sounds thick, deeper, right? That's what my voice follows that too. It goes deep. Oh yeah, oh. But sometimes it goes high. And so, any questions around that song? Anything that I've talked about that you have any comments that you want to make about voice? No, you good? Joey?
I have something.
Okay, go ahead.
I was just thinking about like when you're drumming and the voice that you use, and you said that you have to really, you created it and then you thought about it and you have to say it a bunch of times. And it's kind of like that in social work too, with the skills that we learn, is that they come to us and how we're going to like, how to do like the 7 skills that we have in the social work skills workbook that everyone here took in 2315. And how they kind of have to rehearse them and keep doing them again and again in order for it to be comfortable. So by the gazillionth time that you do it, you know it like the back of your hand. Whereas when you're starting out, it's kind of like you're not faltering, but making a little bit of mistakes here and there that we use as learning opportunities.
One of the teachers that I followed the very first time on my path, he says, we may make mistakes in our lives, he says. But a lot of times that when you know what those mistakes are, you try and correct them as best you can. So by the time you reach a certain point in your life, that mistake has already been But in our culture, they say there are no mistakes. There are no mistakes. It's just that you have to learn from that mistake, like Joey kind of alluded to it. And once you start learning it, kind of like we were doing. Actually, let me use this. This big one. See what I mean? I forgot too. I remember we were doing a lodge one time, and there was a couple of people there, and we were doing quite well actually. We were building. I think it was actually a 40-foot lodge. I think we were building, and this was on the island, and so. I was watching. They were showing us the ties, how to tie these things. And what we do is the figure 8 tie. And we put these together in the figure 8 ties. Pretty easy. And some of the girls were watching them, and they were just bringing it around and just wrapping it like this. Finally, I decided over to show them again. So I said, "Here, like this. It's okay like that. We'll just leave that there." So I showed them again, gently. But using that kind voice to show them. And then one of the girls actually said that they got scolded because they weren't doing it right. I said, "Don't worry about that." I said, "I'll talk to that person when we're done here." I said. So what I did then in that gentle voice again, like I said, I showed them. So all you got to remember is put it behind, come around, flip it around, make it a figure 8. Like that. Oh, okay. And they got used to it. So I got up and I went and talked to this person. I said, "That's not right to be yelling at people because you're making mistakes. You should have just stayed there and talked to them." All of a sudden, everything was fine, right? You got to do it, right? That's that voice coming out. That's that understanding of who you are. Because I know all of you are kind here, I think.
Don't look at me.
I'm not looking at you. I'm looking on the other side.
Oh, okay.
I'm probably one of the kindest people I ever met. This young lady here, same age as me. But anyway, so again, like I said, when we think about that, think about all those kind things that we talk about. It's kind of like when you're talking to a person, and especially when you're doing counseling. That's where you're going to find out that your voice is going to be one of the most important tools that you're going to ever have in doing that. Is that being kind, knowing what you can't understand them right away till they start talking. Then you have to start listening. Then sometimes they get a little angry. Then you get a little nervous when they get angry. Then you calm that down. Then you say, and you kind of. For me, when I was dealing with that drug and alcohol program, I had a young lady who got mad all the time when she came to talk to me. Finally, I had to kind of settle it down by saying, I'm trying to understand why you're mad. I said, maybe you need to talk to me. Let's go. I'll get a coffee. You want a coffee? Got her coffee, calmed her down, and started all over. Then she started to talk to me. I said, at this time, let's keep it low key kind of. And that's one of the things we learned at Mohawk College is learning how to talk to them and understanding what they're feeling and what's going through them. Because the people I dealt with was a lot of stuff growing up, kind of like similar to my growing up. And my mom and dad, they had kind voices, but it was never really. Sometimes they'd yell at you because you come late for supper. Because supper is a certain time of day, and ours was 5 o'clock. You had to be at the table at 5. You had to be at the table at 5. You didn't show up at 5 o'clock. You showed up at 6:30. There's no food for you, and then they tell you. And that's But again, that they learned as they were growing up, a lot of that stuff had already come into play. So these are the kind of people that I dealt with were the ones that had trouble with their parents or somebody, right? And then the alcohol kicked in. That was one of the things. Hey, by the way, I'm an alcoholic as well. Like I drank a lot of years. And when I quit drinking, it was one of those things that, mind you, I was a happy drunk. I had fun when I was drinking. Sometimes I didn't remember where I was. Sometimes I'd wake up in a town that I didn't even know that I got there. That's the kind of thing. So those are the kind of things I dealt with when I was a drug and alcohol worker. Blackouts. And, you know, again, like I said, when you start listening to hear what they're saying, your mind is really going to think fast. You're going to have to try and react to what they're talking about, right? Because there's going to be a lot of things that you haven't heard. There's going to be a lot of things that you may have heard. And there's going to be a lot of things that you've never ever heard. So once you get to that point and start, this is where your support system has to kick in, because you can't do that alone. Because when I was on the island, when I worked on the island as that drug and alcohol worker, I was a lone worker. I remember having to go out at nights. When my wife used to work on the mainland side, and she'd be gone for the week, come home on weekends. So I was kind of a single parent from Sunday night to Friday. But when the calls came, I had to go. There was nobody there to look after my kids, but I had to go. And I did that for almost 19 years. But my kids grew up. So when I talk to people, when I go midnight run or 2 o'clock run or 3 o'clock in the morning run, you know, I go and I listen to what they're saying. And you know, the good thing about that too was that when we finished talking, or when they finished talking, they said, "Thank you for listening." That's what you're going to hear from them. Thank you for listening. Because nobody really sometimes listens to people, right? Sometimes people get mad at them. "Oh, get away from me, get away from me," that kind of stuff. And that's what they're going to tell you. And you have to you have to be that kind person that Creator created. Did I say that right? Our Creator created a kind person. Our Creator brought that spirit, that kind spirit to the earth. And out of his kindness, he molded this vessel that we walk in. And we have to remember that very beginning, that we're not a people to be yelling at other people, because it's never going to work. It's never going to work. You can't scold somebody for making a mistake. That's one. Oh, I hate that. I don't hate it. I just don't like it. And I will voice that sometimes. And when I see people too overbearing, I'll address that too, because I'm dealing with somebody. Like, let's say if I'm talking to this young lady here, and you know, I hear what she's saying, but I can't throw my thoughts into what she's saying, because it's her story. It's not my story. What you're listening to is the story of that individual that you might be meeting and working with. So you have to kind of gauge everything and how this is going to go. You may want to talk to them again next week, maybe every 2 weeks, or when needed. Because it's kind of like the smudge. Kind of like when you smudge, right? You smudge as needed, or you smudge when needed. There are 2 different things right there: as or need when. So when you start listening to other people and using your voice and you in that calm way, you're like that sage, you're like that medicine. When you have your clients, you are the medicine, because you are listening to them. And you cannot dictate what they should do. You work together on that, and how it is that you want to work with that person and say, this is what I'm going to do. This is what I can do for you, only if you want me to do this. Because for me, when people came to me and wanted to go to treatment center, I'd give them the option and say, which treatment center would you like to go to? And so I showed them pamphlets. Maybe I had maybe 4. The one was Rainbow Lodge, Wiki. That was Winkle. And I believe there was one in North Bay, Native Horizons. And there was one more. There was 4 of them. Not Elliott. Never got that far. That was Native Horizon.
Yeah.
And Toronto. Toronto was another one. So they choose, and they say, how long is this? This one's 6 weeks. How long is this one? This one's 4 weeks. So they look at that, realize, oh, Blind River was the other one. Blind River, I remember now. So they not dictated, they choose it. They choose it. Did I say that right? Did I choose it? I might go back to school. They wanted, they chose the treatment center they wanted. So we made the arrangements. So it was up to them. So it's like, for me, I was going through the process, getting them ready. But I didn't tell them. But I said, okay, this is what we're going to do now. Because they had a family. We went down to the family social services. So that family could be looked after while this person was gone. We did all that. And I did that for him. And once we got going, then he said, you know, after he was ready, he says, when are you taking it? I said, we're leaving Sunday. Because I have to have you up there for Sunday. And we talked all the way up, and I just listened to him. Listening is that part, right? No voice, but just listening. And then once you get the feel of this person, you begin to understand where they're coming from and how it is they got to that point in their life. So, you know, when that person finished treatment, I went and got him. You can see the big difference. They're more, I don't know, they're more bright, like this here, like that. Before they went there like this in the darkness. Oops. Oh, there we go. They were in the darkness. So when you listen to them and listen to their voice, it makes it a lot easier for you to understand how to work with them. Right? Any comments, questions, concerns, deletions? So this song, you know, I've already given it to you. And if you want to learn, you know, sing it anytime you want, go ahead, sing it. Okay, class, we're gonna have a bologna sandwich.
Oh, that'd be nice, eh? Fried bologna.
Actually, I got bologna in the trunk. Oh, you know what happened to me on the way up here, eh? Up here, when I came up yesterday. I decided to stop at Honey Harbor. You know where that is? Eh? Just north of over there. And there's a Tim Hortons there. So I pulled into Tim Hortons. I figured, oh, you know, 10 minutes, maybe 5 minutes at the most. I was in there for 35 minutes, line. And I got this sandwich, it's called roast beef craveable. Tim Hortons and a coffee. I was kind of upset. The sandwich was cold. So I'm driving along the highway and I see this cheese sticking out of there. Ah, damn, they put cheese in here. Oh, pardon my language, sorry. Scratch that, reverse that. Anyway, the cheese is hanging out of my sandwich. I opened my truck window, pulled the cheese out and threw it out the window. I hope nobody got it in the windshield or in their face. You know that commercial? Threw the cheese back and on the lady's face. Anyway, that's what happened. But I was angry, but I had to remain calm because I was doing two things. I was coming up here to talk to you, and I was driving. So I finally, after maybe 200 kilometers later, I was calm. No, I'm just kidding. So I was calm after it. But again, like I said, you know, but so when we sing, our voices are the ones that really give that remarkable, bring that everything together. When we talk, we bring everything together. When we have fun, we bring everything together. If you're dealing with a client or any people that are having problems with grief, I think grief is probably the biggest one I've dealt with, and I've lived with it. And but I use my tools when I need them. Again, as needed or when needed. And sometimes you may find when you get nervous when you talk to people, this is where, you know, some of you have already learned about what tobacco is, right? You all learned what tobacco does, and how to use that when you're getting ready to do something. Like I did this morning, I offered to the fire. you're asking. Anyway, want to take a break? Hey?
Yeah.
Okay, I gotta go to the truck and get a beer and. I'm kidding. So we can take a break for a bit and then we'll come back. Help yourself. I just made that. No, I'm just kidding. We're going to start again. The voice of the drum has sounded 4 times, and according to the laws of H. Neil Monague, we begin. No. When the drums are sounded like that, that's when they bring the people back together again to continue on with what they're talking about, and I believe that's a good way of doing it. And again, they were talking about that voice, the voice of the drum calls people together. Doesn't matter what drum it is. It could be the hand drum, it could be the powwow drum, it could be the little boy water drum, it could be the Haudenosaunee drum, it could be all the drums that call people together, and that's what the beauty of it. Because the voice of a drum is so different. It's so different. You can hear different tones. You can hear this. Like, remember when I did your backs this morning? When I do that because, like I said, it shakes some of the negativity off your back. But also one thing the drum does when it sounds its voice like that is that it changes tone. It changes tone for each person that I come across when I do their back. And that tells me something. It tells the drum something. So again, if you get in tune with using these kind of tools for the work that you're going to be doing, this is the sounds that you kind of have to listen to. It's kind of like listening to the people themselves, because their voices are going to change, right? They can high pitch, low pitch, medium pitch, and all those other pitches. And that once it takes effect, you begin to understand it. That's when you have to remind yourself what you are listening to and who you're listening to and what are you listening? What are they telling you? Because if it's okay, like when a baby's born, it's a different tone of voice, right? When somebody passes away, it's a different tone of voice. It's more sad. And it's more deeper. And then when you're having fun, well, that's a whole story in itself, right? You have fun, right? And that's the voice. That's the voices. I'm going to relight the sage. I'm going to also offer this smudge to the ones that are on that home on this hoop. Joey, can you go around with this? Please. Hold it there. That's the bottom.
Well, why'd you pass it to me like that?
You took that. You took it. See what I mean? See, look at that. She abuses me every time I come here. So while she's doing that, when I sing an honor song for you, all of you that are sitting here, I better sit down. And to the people that are on the screen, I want to send you a song as well. It's an honor song that I sing. And it's for the people to honor everybody for all the work that they have done so far in this lifetime. Everybody? What?
We forgot his Sigma.
You forgot your Sema. Hope I didn't.
No. He's a good sport.
He better be.
He is.
Anyway, so that honor song again, that song came to the island in a different way. But what again, I was singing in the way it came to the island, and I forget who brought it there. One of our people, I believe, she heard it. But anyway, as I was singing that song came that way after. So now I continue to sing it that way. So that's just to honor all of you that are here. Right? Honor. I heard some people singing. I heard a voice. Her and I think somebody over there. Did I?
Yeah, we were.
Okay, good. So again, like I say, it's using a lot of your knowledge on how you're going to use that voices. You've already started. You've already started. See, like for me, my voice is, like I said, it changes sometimes. But I much rather have fun with my voice because it makes it a lot easier in life. You know, like I said earlier, I do get angry, and sometimes, but I get angry sometimes at myself when I'm by myself, especially when I play the game called golf. I'm a golfer. And I get mad at me. It's not the club's fault. It's not the putter's fault. It's not the ball's fault, but it's me. So I get mad at me. And I sometimes do say a few choice words at me, but nobody's around, right? And that's okay because it makes it easier. Anyway. Okay, where are we? You got anything to add?
Not right now. It's 10:45. Just looking up.
Okay, we got another 45 minutes. 11:30, and I gotta head over at 12. I got another engagement tonight. No golf today. By the time I get home, golf courses are closed. So golf courses are closed. Tune it up a little bit here. Not crackling and popping. I should sit over here. Spotlight. Oh. I said, you have any questions? Let me ask you if you have any questions. It's there, I can see it.
I'll remember.
I have one in the meantime. At what point has a kind of like a shared history or a common kind of history or common experience kind of influenced how you've approached your work when you've been working through that, just working on Christian Island or wherever you've been?
I'm not trying to figure this question out.
So for your experiences with the residential schools or with your alcoholism, how much has that influenced how you've proceeded in the conversation? Right? Is there things that have been able to go unsaid because the client has recognized that you've been in that same situation, or there's a certain phrase that you can use or a certain experience that you've gone through that makes the process smoother? Does that make sense?
Yeah, kind of. For me, I guess when I was working with people, they knew exactly where I came from.
Yeah.
Because the island was it was a small community, right? And they knew who I was and when I quit drinking. And they asked me how I did it. That starts the conversation.
Yeah.
That starts the conversation right there. And I said, Mike, the reason why I quit drinking is because I made a promise that I would. And it was to my girlfriend who became my wife. And, like I said, drank, I think my first beer was, I was only 10 years old. I was 10 years old when I had my first beer, I believe. And it progressed from there. It's not that I was hiding from something. It's that it was a taste of it, what it did. The addiction. That's what happened. And I drank many years, and I was considered an alcoholic by the time I turned 19. And I was a full-blown drinker. I drank 8 days a week. That means nonstop, pretty much. For me, that's what it means. Some other people will probably say it's the Beatles song 8 days a week. But it's not. It is a song. But anyway, so I used my experience itself when I talk with clients, but only when they ask me. They say, how did you do it? How did you quit? How did you get yourself into that? And then sometimes the question will switch around to when I started. How did you get started? How did you get started? Well, I got started because of, I don't blame my parents for it. It's just that they bought the beer. The beer was sitting there one night and we went and bought about 6 bottles of beer at the box. Snuck out the window and drank outside. We got caught, of course. Wasn't a very good scene, but we got caught. And then they asked me, how did I quit? And how did I do it? And I bring up that story of my promise to my girlfriend who became my wife. And I told her that because she was going to dump me, and she tossed me aside like a dirty old shirt, like a drunken old shirt. Let me put it that way, because that's what I was. I was an alcoholic. And when I talk to people about what happened with me during that time, again, that's me talking. That's my history. I know what I did. I know what I did wrong. I know how I had to resolve it. I had to do something. And there were times when I did sober up, I would look out my mom's window. As I lived with my mom in her house, but she didn't live there. She worked in Oakville. And I used to look out the window and think about my own family. when am I going to have a family? When am I going to meet somebody? And then when I talk to my clients, used to talk to my clients that way, they started listening. And they, you know, you can see them processing their stuff because what happened to their family when he was drinking, or when she was drinking, or when they were all drinking. So they would process that. But I could see them. And but when I put that promise I made to my girlfriend, my girlfriend, let's say that way first, that I told her that I would quit drinking at my brother's New Year's Eve party. That would be my last time. And she ho-hummed about it for a long time. We talked for about an hour and a half. I'm trying to convince her. Because you know what? An alcoholic is probably one of the best politicians in the world. You know what I mean by that? They can talk their way out of any situation they can. They can talk themselves into another situation. They can make themselves look so darn good that you could vote for them. And that's the thing I thought about. And but when I told my girlfriend that I would, well, that day came. Brother's New Year's Eve party, December 31st, 1983. Quarter to 12, I downed my last beer, and I remembered the promise. Put the empty bottle down in front of my girlfriend, and I said, I quit. My brother heard it. He said, "Hey, brother, there's some beer over there. There's some whiskey over there." Sure enough, there was all kinds of beer on that side, all kinds of liquor on this side. I had a choice. I made my choice. When that quarter to 12 came, I took my girlfriend's hand. I said, "I quit." I said, "Go to bed." To bed we went. Slept through the night. And in the morning, when I used to get up in the mornings, I used to go to the beer or the liquor, whatever I had in the fridge. But this time I went for the freshie. There was liquor in that fridge. But I went for the freshie instead because it was dry. I was coughing sawdust in the morning. Well, that was the day I never touched it again after that. But one of the hardest things, even your clients will say that, one of the hardest things that they'll ever face is that first month of sobriety. That first month. It's one of the toughest things I went through. One of the toughest things. Month and a half later, 2 months later, I'm still feeling it, but it wasn't as bad. It takes a while. It takes a while to come off that alcohol. Like any addiction, it takes a while to come off because your mind is still working there. Your mind is still working at that point where you were drinking with the boys, right? And when I used to talk to my clients like that, they were listening to my story. And then they said, "Oh, that's how you did it." I said, "Yeah, I made it wrong. I didn't want to lose what I wanted. I wanted my own family." And I told my clients, I said, I didn't want my children to see me as an alcoholic. They never did. They never did. So when I tell my clients that, so now they're hearing my story and how I did, I'm hoping that whatever I said to them may influence them to do the same thing. And then when I started this journey, like I didn't know anything about how to really take care of a woman. Let me put it that way. But I did make a promise to my wife that I would quit drinking. But there was other parts to it. And some of your clients will actually say the same thing. But what I learned when I started doing this, carrying this bundle, doing the culture, is that I learned about the woman's role, men's role, and responsibility. The men's role, responsibility to his wife or his partner and to his children. It's a great big change. One of the biggest roles that a man would ever do is that. Become that man to look after that family. As when I sing that Anishinaabe song once at a workshop, the first time I ever took it to a workshop, we were in Toronto, and there was enough men in there. And I asked the men, I have a song that I want to sing to the women in honor of the women. And I said, This song, I want the men to stand for the women. With this song, we did. You know what? The men gathered around the women in that circle and sang that song. The women are all sitting in the middle. It just happened. So that memory of how men take care of women is there. And then sometimes maybe if you know a little bit more about that when you're talking to the people, you're dealing with people during that time, that's part of the story that you may want to share with them as well, because they're going to ask you, how did you do it? This is where your voice kicks in. That kindness, right? Because that's what they're going to look for first. The kindness in the voice. Because if you get too harsh, or you just want to tell your own story, they're going to look at you and sit back, and then they won't come back. They'll be gone. You wonder why. So when you start talking, you just got to remind yourself it's their how can I say this? It's their platform. Let them speak. Just listen to them. Kind of jot things down, because that's the first thing you want to do when you talk to people. They come into your office. You don't mind if I jot a few things down. They'll say no, or they'll say, those may say no, they may say yes. Then will they just say, oh, go ahead, because you'll need that later on. Right? And then when they start, then you talk to them. For me, what we were trained to do is offer them something to break the ice, you know, to cut the pie, eat some ice cream. I'm just throwing that in. But so when we start doing that, and then like a voice is like offering something, like a coffee. I consider that part of the voice is that coffee. Or if you have something in, you know, if you got lunch coming in, hey, you want to take part in lunch with us, and then we'll continue on this afternoon. That kind of stuff. That makes it a lot better. Conversation, good conversation, positive conversation. But when you get down, if you practice the culture, or if you got in a smudge bowl, when you go home at night, this is where the other part of the voice takes over, because you need to take care of yourself before you can do anything else. Even before you open the door to your house, you need to take care of you before you go in the door. Using that prayer, like I do a little small workshop called 20 minutes a day, and it's not Bowflex either. And it's 20 minutes a day, and it's easy. When you talk about that, right? You tell them about this. You take time for yourself. Even you guys here. Even the ones on the screen there. Are you there? So when you do that, you know, when you take that 20 minutes, it's not all. Oh, by the way, this is broken up into 4. 5 minutes in the morning, 5 minutes at lunchtime, 5 minutes after work, and 5 minutes before you go to bed. 4 times. The first one, again, when you're talking to you, say you can actually offer this for them as their self-care as well to your clients, right? You could say, this is what I've learned. I learned it from that crazy guy. And the first 5 minutes is in the morning, when you first get up out of bed, even before your feet touch the floor. If your feet are on the floor and you're sitting on the edge of your bed, you put your hands up like this on your lap. Face up like that, hands up, palms up. Now think for a minute. Think about you. Now feel the energy coming into the palm of your hands gently. Relax them on your lap. That's it. Feel the energy. You can feel it. Right? Feel a little bit of sensation in the hands. Now what you're going to say is thank you, Creator. That's all you say. Thank you, Creator. Miigwech, That's That's all you got to say. Okay? Back, sit back and relax. How did that feel? Did you feel the energy in the hand? The vibration?
Felt like hugging myself.
Exactly. Exactly. See, that's the first thing in the morning. And the same thing when you're talking to when you finally meet up with your clients, it's the same thing. You maybe want to try that. Because you got to use that voice again. Yet the energy of the voice and the motions that you use, that's the key. So at noon o'clock, after you're working all morning, right? All of a sudden you get overwhelmed again. People are talking about you. So and so didn't get me that coffee this morning. Didn't bring me a sandwich. That kind of stuff. Right? Negativity kicks in from the time you start work to noon o'clock. I say lunch. People don't understand when I say noon o'clock. So at 5 minutes, you push yourself away from your work desk or whatever you're doing at noon, because grandfather's son is already there, right above you. Remember, he's walking across this daytime sky. And then you do the same thing at lunchtime. Then you just say, Creator, take this from me. The door. Take this bad things away from me. These thoughts, these evil thoughts from me. Because people are attacking you. Because I'm going to show you this little exercise too. So when you do that, then all of a sudden you pull back when you're done. 5 minutes at lunchtime. That's all you need. At work, it's the other one. After work is the one you've already overwhelmed by. Like, let's say you got overwhelmed by education, right? You got so much getting crammed up in there. Gone through school all day, you got this, you got to do this, then you got to go home and do all this, you got to do this. And it's overwhelming. I know, I've been there. So a lot of people take their work home. And you shouldn't. You shouldn't. Now, if you carry tobacco, I'm going to suggest maybe you might want to do this at some point. Is that when you get to your door, before you even touch the doorknob or the key to get into your house, right? You take that tobacco, put it in your left hand. Then you turn the way you came. Let me go look this way. Turn the way you came. And what you say is that, put your hand out. You came from that direction, you're going to your door this way. All you got to say then is that, you stay out here. You cannot come into my house. Who are you talking to when you do that?
Anything that's trying to follow you home with energy.
Yeah. Your work too, right?
Oh yeah.
It's your work that you're keeping out of your house. You stay out here. You cannot come into my house. With that tobacco still in your hand. As soon as you finish saying that, you open your hand. You let it drop to the ground. Whenever tobacco goes on there, you go like this, brush it over your head. Open the door, unlock your door, go inside. And your cat or your bird or your dog or whoever's in there will notice you right away. They will say, oh, they look good. All right. They come running at you. Right? They come flying at you. And they hug you. But if you didn't do that, ever notice the difference? Kids kind of stay back a little bit. Mind you, they'll be happy to see you, but they're going to look at you. Kids are the ones that have better eyes like that we have. They still have that vision as a child coming from Creator, still fresh from Creator's side. The little ones, even up to here, I think. And if you have a little pet, the same thing will happen. Make our guys come closer because it notices your cat or your bird or whatever. get inside your house after you do that, go sit down on your best comfortable chair, even before you turn on a soap opera, as the stomach turns or whatever they call that. And you do the same thing, sit back in your chair. And then somebody wants you, just say, this minute, give me 5 minutes. Arms up and sit back. Do the same thing. You say, thank you. Be good. Thank you. That's all you have to say. No more than that. Unless you know a bigger, longer prayer, then you can do it too. But 5 minutes, right? So that's one of the most important. That one there is probably the most important of the four. That after work. Because you don't want to be taking your job home. Because it causes a lot of problems in the house. And the same thing when you talk to your clients that way, you're going to talk, give them that, if you want to give them that lesson, go ahead, give them that lesson. Welcome to use it. But they also know too, they can see, the client can see you. Because they'll look at you eye to eye sometimes. Not all the time, but sometimes. Because they want to see how you react to their story. So when you use that kind voice with them, it makes it a lot easier for them to speak. Right? That last one, the night when you go to bed, it's almost a reversal of the time you got up in the morning. You sit on the edge of your bed, you get in your comfortable pajamas, put all your face cream on, curls and stuff like that. And then you sit down on your bed at the edge and you say, but this time you're saying it differently. You say, miigwech que j'aime le do. Thank you, Creator, for letting me get to this point. Whatever you want to say again, but as long as you say miigwech que j'aime le do. When you do that, then your husband or your partner is saying, come on, honey. Oh, just wait a minute, I'm busy. Once you finish that 5 minutes, then you cuddle up with your partner. By that time, he's probably snoring. And that's it, the 20 minutes. Because when you sit with your clients, it's going to be more than 20 minutes. You know they're coming. You know you have to prepare yourself. You make sure that in your office you got coffee going for them. Maybe if you have a biscuit or a cookie or something, it makes it a lot easier. Then you start talking. Then you introduce yourself, all this other stuff, and then you talk. Then they talk to you, and the conversation smooth. It may drop once in a while. It always comes up. They get high. But that's the way we talk, right? Smooth. Right? Anyway, any comments? You have a question yet?
Oh, there was something that does not to do with what we've been talking about today. Is that all right?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Oh, it's what
It's open door.
It's what your hair like I've heard that some people cut their hair when they're in the morning.
Mhm.
And I just want to know what your thoughts were on that, or what you were taught. I don't know if I should give you tobacco.
No, that's good. It's already good. Give it.
Okay. So I heard that like some people do it right after their loved one passes away. But then I was recently told that we're supposed to wait a year. And I just wanted to ask you what you were taught about that.
And I'm going to be honest with you that that's one of the things that we never learned growing up.
Mhm.
It's not until after I started walking the path that I started learning about stuff like that. And for me, my wife passed away July 4th, 2016. I never cut my hair. Just kept it long. And I was told that you should cut your hair. I said, well, it's a choice, I think, myself. And for me, I'll follow the rules to a certain point. And for me, I didn't cut my hair. She passed away. It was, it was one of the toughest things that I ever faced was that. Because I'd walked with her for 30 years somewhere, 32 years, I think. We married 84, 20 years.
You're asking the wrong person to do math. 84 to 2016.
Hold on, Tony.
32.
32 years I walked with her. And when she passed away, I knew some of that, but you're overwhelmed by it.
Yeah.
And so when somebody said, you didn't cut your hair, I said, no, I wanted to keep it long because my hair started growing long when I met them. I wanted to keep that part. But there are the people that will cut their hair. And that's because, again, the 1 year thing too, that's the other part. Hey, that's quite, I like that. That 1 year when my wife passed away, some of the stuff I learned growing up is that when your partner passes away and a year later, you got to give yourself that space, that openness to not to get involved with a relationship within that year. That's what I was told. And it's been how many years for my wife? 5. And I still drop her alone. And I'd much rather stay like that. Unless something happens and somebody, a woman comes along with multi-billionaire and says, you know what, I'll go. But again, like I said, it's for me, it was a choice. And if they cut their hair again, it's up to them, right? How they, and what they do with that is that I believe some of them will bury it and some of them will add it to the fire.
Yeah.
And again, like, so, yeah, I like that. And, but there are people that will do it. There are some that won't. It's kind of like the drum. That first drum I had, I walked with that for, when did I build it? When did I make? 1994, I think, or 93, 94 at that time. My first drum. And they say that the story tells us, or the teaching tells us, that when you make your first drum, you have to give it away, right? And it's almost kind of similar to the long hair, for me anyway. When I made that drum, when I first sung with it, that's when that first song came. Probably, a couple of months, maybe a month later, that first song came with that drum. Me and that drum traveled together for 94 to when I retired it, maybe, geez, how long ago did I retire that? I can't remember. But I still have it. Anyway, so yeah, a lot of your clients will come to you with questions like that. So you're gonna kind of have to be ready. If you don't know, what you normally would say is that, let me go find out for you. No, you write the question down, and then you go look for an elder to give you the answer. Then you give it back to your client. Because I remember one of the teachers that I had. Actually, she was not too far from me, Birch Island, I believe. I don't know if anybody remembers Lillian Peruana, the name, right? She was actually my first woman teacher when I first started my journey. And when you talk to her, when you talk to her or she talked to you, you could hardly hear her. That's how calm her voice was. She'd scold you, but in that kind voice. I remember that. Went over to a sweat with her one time at Birch Island. First met her. And she says, it was like this. Oh, I knew I did something wrong. That's not how I told you to do that. She says, in a kind voice, of course. And she kind of smiled. Move that over the other side and bring this side, kind of instructing me. So I did. She stood over me while I did that. Now that's how I want that. Okay. And it worked out because we became good friends after. And she was my first woman teacher. And she was great because of the way she taught. She was kind to everybody. She laughed when she wanted to. She made jokes if she did. But she was a good teacher. And like Joey's quiet when she talks. You can hardly hear her. But there are times when she voices something. Right? So the voice goes from here to here. In that order, like this. And when it calms down, it's at the level. Like when this young lady here spoke, I could hear her. She was, but I haven't heard anybody else speak. just only when you gave your names. But you were muffled. It kind of reminds me of going to McDonald's. Huh? Can I have a Big Mac and a Coke, please? And you know, but that's for me again. That's the different voice coming out of a box, right? And you try and figure it out. It gets you angry because you can't figure it out. What the heck are they saying? Pardon me. What did you? And then they finally come back and they can actually hear them because they're so used to speaking that fast. And that's the other part of it. Slow your tone or your speed of voice down. Because sometimes people will, and it's gone. But if you slow your voice down and slow your mind down a little bit, slow your mind, your heart, and your voice down, everything will run smooth. Guarantee it. Guarantee it. Your turn.
Sure.
Just for a minute while I have a drink of water.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, I think just to add to the, like the teachings with the hair,